We were all surprised by the shocking reveal of the Red Skull as the guardian of the Soul Stone in Avengers Infinity War. But what if the MCU isn't done with bringing back former foes of the Avengers? A new trailer for Avengers Endgame might hold a clue that one of the Avengers' greatest foes isn't done with our heroes just yet, and will be making a return to the big screen. Could Ultron be the best-kept secret in Avengers Endgame? The Super Bowl has brought us a new look at the most anticipated movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to date. With half of our favorite heroes turned to dust, including some new favorites, we've been waiting impatiently for Endgame to show us how our remaining heroes will bring them back and defeat Thanos or whoever else might stand in their way. One of the clues that emerged from that new trailer has some thinking they've found a clue to how the Infinity Stones might be reassembled to defeat the Snap and possibly Thanos. We hear a voice tell us that some people move on, but not us. That not us part is said a second time, but it's a little different, a little lower, and if you listen closely, it almost sounds like it has a vocoder effect.
Not us.
It sounds a lot like the robot voice of one of the biggest baddies in the MCU, Ultron. When we last saw Ultron, he was getting a full blast from the Mind Stone thanks to Vision, putting an end to his reign of terror in Avengers Age of Ultron. While this seemed like a final moment for the perennial Avengers villain, fans of the Avengers will tell you playing possum is one of Ultron's greatest tricks. He has often seemed defeated only to find himself downloaded somewhere else, rising again to take his vengeance on Earth's mightiest heroes. Ultron rising again in Endgame would be keeping in line with the Ultron of the comics. Here's what that might mean. The first thing to figure out is how Ultron might beat death. The best bet lies in another fallen Avenger, one who went down before the snap. The whole showdown in Wakanda was meant to give Shuri enough time to separate the Mind Stone from Vision so that Wanda Maximoff could destroy it, and thus deprive Thanos of a complete gauntlet. Since the Science Bros hadn't consulted Shuri when making their empathetic super android, disconnecting the Mind Stone from the rest of Vision was going to take a while. The Mind Stone in Vision's forehead gave him a great deal of power, but it was theorized that there was enough inside Vision's programming that he could exist without it. Most of that was the original Jarvis AI that had been Tony's computer assistant, but it also contained layers of its creators Tony and Bruce Banner. The other layer of the onion that is Vision's consciousness was his original creator, Ultron. It's important to remember how Ultron manages to beat death in the comics, and to some degree in the Age of Ultron. Whenever a version of Ultron's destroyed, he simply uploads himself into a new body and returns to wreak havoc once more. Presumably, at the end of Age of Ultron, Vision had destroyed the last available copy of Ultron left for his consciousness to reside. But with part of Ultron making up part of Vision, there's another Ultron out there. Of course, Vision's still Vision all the way up to the confrontation with the rampaging Mad Titan, telling his beloved how much he cares for her while she has to hold off Thanos and destroy the stone, killing her love. It's so sad, especially since Thanos just undoes it and then re-kills Vision again. That was a really sad series of events. Anyway, after all the care that Shuri had gone through to try and separate the Mind Stone from Vision, Thanos just rips it out and tosses the lifeless Vision aside. Some eagle-eyed fans have noted that as the being we know as Vision died, he lost his color, reverting to the dull silver. No one seems to know what happened to Shuri after the snapping. In the trailer, we see Bruce Banner looking at a list of those missing that includes Shuri and Peter Parker. But it also includes Scott Lang, who later shows up at the door of Avengers headquarters with a quantum tunnel-equipped custom van. Did Shuri get dusted, or did she sneak off to finish the work she started on Vision? After Eric Killmonger took control of Wakanda in Black Panther, Shuri and the rest of T'Challa's family and loyalists slipped out of Wakanda's capital to seek help from the Jabari tribe in the hills of Wakanda. Perhaps realizing the importance of Vision, especially given his connection to the Mind Stone, she slipped off to finish her work, maybe even with the hopes of reviving the fallen Vision, and with him, a chance at relocating the stone. Without knowing it, Shuri might reactivate the Ultron program, unleashing him on the world once more. But that might not be a bad thing. Since it's the Ultron program that has resided inside Vision, his time in the calm super android's mind might have mellowed Ultron a little bit. So while it's not our beloved Vision, Ultron might help deal with the Infinity Stone situation. How that works involves looking at the Mind Stone itself. As Dr. Selvig and Clint Barton will attest, the Mind Stone can be very persuasive, making those under its influence do what the wielder wants. With the Mind Stone in Vision, we learn that the stone has a will of its own. This isn't unheard of. As the surprise cameo of Red Skull revealed, the Soul Stone had a particular will to it as well, insisting that whoever seeks its power must first sacrifice something they love in order to understand the cost of such power. With a stone that influences one's mind and has a will of its own, it stands to reason that the Mind Stone is incredibly powerful. There are other theories out there that Thanos' whole ambition to collect the stones in the first place was influenced by the Mind Stone itself. It's also worth noting the position of prominence that the Mind Stone occupies on the gauntlet. It sits in the center on the back of the hand and is larger than the rest, perhaps suggesting that the Mind Stone's the one in charge. With Ultron active again, that connection could help not only bird dog the location of the stones and perhaps Thanos, but also provide insight into how to go about undoing the snap and bringing everyone back to life. With the surprise cameo of Red Skull and how much Thanos has appeared as the man behind the curtain of most of the terrible things to happen in the MCU, including the Chitauri invasion and Ronan the Accuser's attack on Xandar, Endgame looks to be the culmination of the first 10 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Loki, the Avengers' first foe, you never forget your first, already had his moment in the opening scene of Infinity War, where he used both a Hulk and his own regular cunning to try and put a stop to the Mad Titan before he became too powerful and enacted his plan to destroy half of all life. The missing Captain America rival Red Skull made his appearance with his connection to the stones. The last major Avengers villain not to have his moment is Ultron. Some have pointed out that the end credits scene in Age of Ultron didn't make much sense, because while the movie didn't appear to be an attempt to get the stone, Thanos still declared that it was time for him to take matters into his own hands. But if Ultron's contact with the Mind Stone was also meant to result in retrieving the stone for Thanos, Vision's autonomy and defeat of Ultron would have fouled that plan, causing Thanos to do things himself. This actually isn't the first hint we've had that there's an Ultron out there waiting in the wings to come back and haunt the heroes of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Spider-Man Homecoming was in large part a movie about living in the aftermath of a world with the Avengers in it, with Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture, feeding off the leftovers of the alien invasion and the other debris left over from the Avengers run-ins with those who seek to do the world harm. When his cleanup contract is taken away and given to Tony Stark's damage control, Toomes feels like the man responsible for the mess gets to profit off cleaning it up. Teaming up with the Tinkerer and two Shockers, he carves out his own black market salvage operation, which brings him into conflict with our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. In the process of trying to deal with Toomes and company, Spidey finds himself in the damage control vaults looking for something that might help him out. One of the items he pulls out of a duffel bag is the head of an Ultron drone. Even more noteworthy is the drone's red eyes that in Age of Ultron indicated the Prime Ultron, distinct from the army of drones that Ultron would employ. Given how poorly the Ultron experiment went the first time around, with the rash Tony Stark stuck in the dark end of the universe, it's unlikely that Banner even knows the head exists, much less that he wants to reactivate Ultron as a lesser evil against Thanos. But a reanimated Vision with Ultron programming might be able to locate the head or download the missing part of the Ultron program into his body, being another avenue for Ultron to make his comeback. No matter how it happens, Ultron returning would bring the story of the first 10 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe full circle. As all of the characters and storylines involving the Infinity Stones comes to a conclusion, it makes sense to see all of the villains that got us here one last time. If the Mind Stone really is at the center of the powerful Infinity Stones and the source of their will, it'd make perfect sense that it'd leave a lasting impression on the entity it helped become conscious. It'd also make sense for it to continue to be at the center of how the remaining Avengers can defeat Thanos and bring back those who've been snapped out of existence. Ultron doesn't even have to emerge as a new threat for that to be true. All he has to do is perform the same function as Red Skull and be an advocate for the will of a specific stone. In essence, the Mind Stone could use a reanimated Ultron to communicate its will, and for the Avengers to communicate in a manner of speaking with the stones themselves, since most of the people who know anything about the stones are dead or dust. Marvel Studios has been known to misdirect fans before, feeding clues or showing scenes that don't make the final cut. We all remember seeing the Hulk make the charge in Wakanda in the Infinity War trailer, and that didn't end up happening. But they've also been known to pay off clues buried deep in their films, like the title to the upcoming Endgame. Whatever the answer turns out to be, it's sure to be spectacular, and we look forward to seeing it. That's how Ultron might be coming back in Avengers Endgame. Do you think the Metal Menace might return to the big screen? Is there another surprise cameo that you think might happen? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR for more MCU content. Thanks for watching.